Hello, welcome to another exciting episode of Cyber Streets at Sankofa Inner City Culture League. I am Mr. Williams, and some of you may remember when we were looking at the science behind magic with Jason Latimer, we were able to imagine a ping pong ball levitating in air. But we learned in those episodes that the ping pong was actually being supported by a air blower, a hair dryer. As the airflow around the ball changed, the ball was appearing to levitate. Today, we're going to actually build our own blower, and we are going to actually levitate a ping pong ball using a blower. I know some of you didn't have access to a hair dryer, so you weren't able to actually do this experiment at home. But by building our own blower, you'll be able to participate and do this exercise at home. So here's some of what you're going to need. You're going to need colored stock paper. You're going to need colored tape. Any colors of these you wish is okay. You're going to need ping pong balls. You're going to need adhesive putty or clay. It's the same thing. You're going to need a pair of scissors. You're going to need a ruler. You're going to need a straw, a felt pen, and push pins. Okay? So the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your ruler and you're going to measure 5.5 across. Oh, and I'm sorry, you're also going to need a pencil or a pen. So you can mark your markings. Okay? So I'm measuring my paper here, 5.5 across, and I'm going to make a line. And then I'm going to measure 8.5 down. And I'm going to start at the edge of my line, and I'm going to make that mark. Excellent. Hopefully you've been able to do that as well. Then I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm going to cut that piece of stock paper, cardstock out. That's the long way. And now I cut it along the short ends. And when you're done, you should have a piece of paper or cardstock that looks approximately like that. We can put the rest of the paper to the side because you don't need it. On one side of the card, you're going to take your double-sided tape and you're going to stretch it along the shorter edge. And then from the other end, now that I know you can't see it, but I've now put my double-sided tape along this edge here. I'm simply going to roll with the felt pen inside. I'm going to roll my cardstock all the way up. And when you're done, you should have a tube that looks approximately like that. With your scissors, simply push the push pin back out. Okay? Now, we want to make sure the air is not leaking through the seam that we just made. So we're going to take our colored tape and we're going to put it along that seam, covering it so that no air may get through. A little bit so that it stretches over the edges of the tube itself. So this is what it's going to look like when you're holding it up on one end. And that's what it looks like when you're holding it up from the other end. As you can see, a little bit of the tape is over the lip on both sides. You simply fold that tape onto the inside of the tubing. And now we have no air able to leave through that seam that was left through rolling the paper. Then you're going to further take our tape, and and we're going to put some on the edges so that they're nice and smooth. We don't want to be tearing up our lips when we're using the actual tubing itself. So again, you're going to roll it around the edge, leaving some off the top so that we can tuck that into the tube itself. So we simply go around one time with our tape and cut off the difference. Okay, we do that on one end, and we do that on the other end as well. This also makes sure that no air will leak between the rolls of the paper. Okay, once we go around, we simply cut off the difference. Okay. And then we're simply going to tuck what's left into the tubing. Okay, so that it's nice and smooth. We're going to do that tubing on both ends. Okay. Try to get it as smooth as you can as you do it. All right, so that's what mine looks like. Yours should look very similar. Then you're going to take a push pin, which is a thumbtack. Just one. And you're going to use it to poke a hole through the tube itself, all the way through. You should be able to see the end pin on the inside of your tube. If you've done that correctly, again, you'll see the pin sticking through. Simply remove the pin out, and you're going to use your scissor, just one edge, to kind of make that hole just a little bit bigger. So you just kind of dig in, just kind of twist until the scissor goes through, and you should have a hole that looks like that. Okay? Then you're going to set that aside for a moment. We're going to work with our straw. Okay? You only need about 2 inches. So I'm going to cut this straw to 2 inches. You don't have to waste the rest of the straw. You can recycle it and use it for something else later. For our sake, we'll just set it to the side for now. Okay? So now you have your straw. What you're going to do is cut down the length of the straw about, I'd say, about ½ inch. You're going to cut into the straw, all the way through on both sides. Okay? And what you're going to end up having is, I get my fingers in it, sorry. You're going to have, I don't know how well you can see this, but you're going to have a flap. Okay? That flap should be on the outside. That's going to help us hold it onto our tube. The rest of the straw, you're going to push through that hole we made in our tubing. And if it's not big enough, as mine isn't, make the hole just a little bit bigger, but go slowly so not to make it too big. A little bit at a time. Okay? Twisting the scissor as you're doing it. And then the flap is going to stay on the outside of the tube, while the rest of it is you're going to press it into the tube. So when you're done, your straw is sticking up, and your flap is down, like so. Okay? You're going to take your adhesive putty or clay, and kind of just mold it around your hand. Okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to use this to make a seal around our tube and our straw. So we now mold that, folding it as needed along our straw, making sure to seal it as best we can, making sure that no air is leaving the tube where we don't want it to. So we're pressing it down, all right? Making sure that no air is not getting out where it isn't supposed to. Okay, you may have to take it and mix it down. Okay, let's try again. I'm feeling air. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to close the other end. So let's take that back out for half a moment. I'm terribly sorry. We're going to take our tape and we're going to cover the end. You may need 2 pieces to totally cover the hole on one end of your tube. Okay. So when you're done, the hole on one end of the tube should be totally covered. Okay? Okay? So now, where I could see through before, I can't anymore. And now, the air is only coming through the top of the straw as it should. So, once again, I'm going to just take that off a bit. So I'm going to do it this. Okay, so we are now, lost my home, going to press our straw, leaving our flap up, keeping our flap up. I'm sorry, mine is currently covered with the adhesive putty, but it's the same thing. You're going to press it through the hole, and we're going to make sure that the putty is holding our straw one in place and making sure that no air is leaking anywhere and that the air is only coming through the hole on the top. Excellent. Okay, let's see how we can play. We simply take a ping pong ball and see if we can't make it levitate. You gotta have better lungs than Mr. Williams. And that's how we make a ping pong ball levitate. I thank you for having joined me today. Hopefully you will have fun in making your air blower. There are additional things we may be able to do with this in a future episode. Till next time, I'm Mr. Williams. Take care.